Who, if not Tyler Robinson, who could it be? Now, there's a whole online community of people pointing the finger at Israel. And the reason for that is somewhat legitimate. Everybody who has been watching Charlie Kirk over the last several months has seen that Charlie has been criticizing Israel, has been super skeptical, whether it's about what they're doing in Gaza, which he called an ethnic cleansing, literally word for word just a month ago, to tying Mossad to Jeffrey Epstein, which he said just a month and a half ago with Patrick Bet-David's podcast, I believe it was. And then hosting AmFest, where he had Dave Smith debate somebody, and not only debate them, but demolish them on the topic of Israel and how what they're doing is wrong and how it's a genocide and how it's horrible and atrocious. And then he also spoke about how he believes the Mossad and Israel are blackmailing all of the politicians in the U.S. Not all of them, but many of them. And he also spoke about AIPAC and how he thinks that, they should be registered under FARA, which is also quite interesting, something that JFK talked about almost in the weeks prior up to him getting assassinated. Then you get into the situation with the Hamptons that Candace is talking about, which is the fact that there was a meeting of influencers, and by influencers, I say all of the traditionalist corporate influencers in this space, right? All of the Zionist PragerU, all of the Zionist Daily Wire, and then you have some people sprinkled in there that aren't that, but a lot of it had to do with the entrenched corporate influencers that have been propped up by those types of organizations. And meeting there with Charlie, and originally the idea was that they were going to talk about Mandani, the New York mayor, and then it turned into a somewhat very serious cornering of Charlie Kirk about Israel and how he's doing wrong. And then that led to a final stitch effort by Benjamin Netanyahu of offering Charlie Kirk $150 million to Turning Point USA. Why would he do that? Why would you offer $150 million as a country to a foreign country's media company? Well, for influence, right? To turn it into a propaganda arm for you. And guess what Charlie Kirk said? No. Guess where we're at now? Just a month later. He's dead. Makes pretty logical sense, right? That's one of the theories, and that's a fair theory. But I don't think it's the only theory that we should be pursuing. A question that I have is who else is gaining off of this? Who is gaining something from this assassination? And maybe we marry these two ideas, right? Every assassination in the last 100 years was not done by a lone gunman in this political sphere. And it was always one of these two organizations or groups. Mossad, CIA. That's it. Right? Now, it's not to say that there's other foreign governments that aren't doing these things and doing it in different locations, but all of the prominent ones that we know of, likely, right, allegedly, had to do with one of those two organizations. Or both of them. So, when we look at this situation, the fact that nobody is calling out the Trump administration or the CIA or our local domestic government being a part of this seems like a big hole to me. Why? Why would they do this? Who's set to gain from it? Well, Trump has a 39% approval rating right now. Trump has lost much of his base because the litmus test for him being truthful and honest and really wanting to improve American politics and drain the swamp, as he would say, was Jeffrey Epstein. Then he went on the gaslighting tour, telling us Jeffrey Epstein is a hoax. It doesn't even really exist. He didn't traffic it to anybody. He was backed up by Dan Bongino. He was backed up by Kash Patel. He was backed up by Pam Bondi, right, who also said that there was 10,000 hours worth of tapes of horrific things that they found, but then retracts that later, right? That was the litmus test. That's how we knew if he was being honest or not, and he wasn't. And he lost his base. He lost me. I tried to convince everybody that I talked to vote for Trump. I would not do that again at this point because he's not being honest, and he's very likely a part of the Epstein files. I've reported on that before several times. He was on the flight logs, right? There's 17 different separate pictures of him at different times. He drew that picture for his birthday and gave it to him. Kind of suspicious and weird. Lots of reasons. So now with a 39% approval rating, you see what happened at the memorial service, which looked like, to me, more of a Trump rally when Trump got out there, right? Walked out with his WWE walkout song and fireworks shooting down and a live musician singing "I'm Proud to Be an American," right? Not Amazing Grace, right? Not anything glorifying Charlie Kirk's legacy. "I'm Proud to Be an American," the same song Trump came out to his rallies, and he treated it like a rally. Majority of the statements that came out of Trump's mouth were not about the legacy of Charlie Kirk. Now, he ended most of his sentences trying to tie it back, and Charlie would agree with me on this, that we've done a great job on X, Y, and Z, right? Then gives his big reveal about vaccines and Tylenol and autism, right? Uses this as his podium to come out and try to gain public approval again.